In this video, I want to talk about this time where we are at a crossroads, I call it. We leave a job, we leave a relationship, we change of place, maybe. There's a point where we have more space. And we've been on another stage for a long time. That can be a job of 10 years, 20 years, I don't know. That can be a relationship of 7 years, 8 years, 10 years. That can be, living a place of my city and going somewhere else. It's a place where all of a sudden we have space. And what usually people do when they have space is they try to fill it again. So if it's a job, they take another job. Or if it's a past relationship, they take a new relationship. Or they get busy again. And I know you're on a point where you're thinking about it, but you wanna do it. You're ready to look inside. And this time is a great opportunity to change that behavior, to open yourself to what's actually meant for you. Something that I call your purpose, your mission, something that you're here to do, right? So you have right now in these crossroads a great opportunity to reconnect with who you are and find direction towards where you're meant to go. Because you already know that that relationship was not serving you and that that job was not what you're here to do. But right now, you are in a place where you feel like, well, and what should I do? Where should I go? Who am I? Right? There's all these questions that start popping up into my head. And that's why it's very comfortable and easy to just pick the next job, pick the next relationship and get busy again. So we don't answer that question. But you already feel you don't have energy right now. Like it's been already like tiring and there's no more energy to go on with it anymore. So you're in a sweet spot because it's exciting, right? It's exciting that you have this new possibility to decide where to go. You have that opportunity, but it's also a little bit scary because you don't know where you're gonna go. Maybe financially right now you're don't know even how you're gonna make the money to, it can be whatever, it doesn't matter. But you're in this space and you're asking yourself these questions, but you don't know the answers. Well, let me tell you, this was my personal experience. This was back on 2021. I remember very exactly. It was around September. I was in Germany. I was taking 6 months of a job, a full-time job in a corporate engineering corporation. And I was working as an engineer. I studied engineering in my university. And after 4 months on that job, I was completely unfulfilled. Like I didn't feel myself, I was meant for that, and I was not feeling I was living what I was, right? Yes, the job made sense, they paid well, and is where I ended up because of my father and so on. My father always wanted me to, work in Germany and speak German and be an engineer. At the end, I studied German because of my father, and I studied industrial engineering because of my father. But around September, I knew I had just October, November, and at the beginning of December, I would go back to Spain with my family. So I knew this was coming to an end. What I didn't know, it was what I was going to do afterwards. That's why I was saying on the video that you're on this position, like I was myself in the past, where you have the time to actually decide where to go, but you don't know. So you're on this spot that is a little bit tricky because you're a little bit lost and it's exciting, but it's a little messy. So that's where I was. So my inner feelings were like, I have no clue. Like I am completely lost. And I had a personality that was very achiever, success, always knowing, and finding myself on that position of I don't know was very confrontational with myself because I always felt I have the answers to everything and I know where I'm going and I'm very successful and so on. And not knowing was very, very confrontational to who I was, right? But it was something that I had to accept. And this is something I would talk in another video about, how exactly being lost is what you want to be, because that's actually the spot where you can find yourself. Like, if you don't lose yourself, you're not gonna find yourself. But that's another video. So what I was lacking was the connection to my intuition, because we all have a voice, and that's what I want to make this video about. Like, we have an inner voice that is actually guiding us. So right now I'm very connected to that voice, and I've been following since many years, and it's all the time telling me, okay, you should go in this direction, you should go in this direction. And it's easier for me just not to think, because now it's not about thinking where I have to go, it's just about feeling and connecting to that voice. So when I say intuition, some people, actually there's 7 types of intuition. That's something that we learn in the journey of Discover Your Gift. On level 2, we work on the intuition. And actually there's 7 types of intuitions. My intuition is an intuition based on my gut. So it's more about following what I'm excited about in the day. So it's like, that's how my intuition works. It can be your case. There's a lot of people with that intuition, but it's not about that video. Anyways, I've connected to that gut in the sense that I moved from that gut right now. And my life has completely transformed since I moved from that intuition and not from where my head tells me that I should go. And this can sound a little bit like, what are you talking about, Bruno? And I understand, because that takes a little bit more time to get into that. Right now, where I was in 2021, I was on my head. I had all these different information from my parents, from society, from my culture, what you should be doing on your life, right? And I was very conditioned. And that's what I'm saying, that we are so conditioned, so brainwashed of, you have to do this, you have to be this way, you should be doing this, at this age, you should take this or take this path, or you have to do this or that. That at the end, we have all these shoulds and do's and don'ts that we are very lost, because we're following that what they're telling us, especially our parents. But at the end, that's not what's meant for us. And we know inside of us that there's something wrong with that. There's something wrong that we're following, but it's because they are telling me to do that. But I actually don't know what I should be following. This doesn't seem right. And that's the explanation why we've lost contact with that intuition. And that also takes back to the childhood. When you see a little boy, a little girl, like myself now, having a newborn of 15 months, I know that he's very connected to his inner voice. He's always, following and playing and so on. He's very connected to him, right? But what if to this little boy, I start taking him to school? I start telling him how he has to dress, how he has to behave, what he has to say, what he has to learn, what he has to do. And I constantly say to this little boy and this little girl that what he feels inside that is right is wrong. Of course, when this little boy or little girl are 18, 21, 25, 30, they don't connect to who they are, because they've already been told that what they feel is not okay, that they should follow some rules, some norms, some behaviors of society to behave in a good society and be a good citizen. So of course, we're all disconnected. And that's the point where you are where I was. So what do we have to do? Well, that's what we do at Discover Your Gift. We have a journey of, I call it self-discovery, but also reconnection, right? We're reconnecting again with that voice. Actually, the piece of intuition, we do it on level 2. Level 1 is about something else, and then we have level 3 and level 4. But level 2 is actually understanding how we operate and how our intuition works, so we can start following it. So that might be something that you want to look up in the links if you really want to do level 2 already, or you want to do the whole journey. But what you need right now is not to get filled and busy with other things. You have an opportunity to look inside and do the work to understand again that voice, because that voice is actually telling you. And actually, something that I've seen with a lot of people, clients, and also myself, is that we already have that voice, but we've quietened it and we have lost confidence on that voice. But I had hundreds of sessions where people tell me that they're lost and that they don't know where to go. But if you ask them a couple of questions, they already know what they dream of, what they wish for the future, but they don't think that that will provide the finances, for example. That's the perfect excuse. But they already know that they want to travel this place and that they want to build this. Of course, you don't know how, but the how is not important. It's actually what you want to do, and then the how would just unfold organically. It's something that you will learn with the process. So we've forgotten that we can dream, we've forgotten that we can wish, and we've forgotten that we have already that voice that is speaking. So with the process of discovering your gift, what we give is confidence to you to listen to the voice that you have and to amplify that intuition, that voice, and start experimenting with it. It's gonna take a process of experimentation, of listening again, behaving accordingly to that voice instead of the mind. The mind will tell you that you have to do. The mind will always tell you that you have to do something, right? And it's your process and your work to reconnect with that voice, because that voice is unique to you and it's your truth. And I can tell you, Bruno, I can tell you, you should be doing this and that, but actually that's not my job. My job here is to give you the tools to reconnect with that voice so you can actually follow it, because that voice is your truth. The truth of who you are, the truth of where you should go is never going to be on someone else. And that's something that usually happens, is asking, I will make a video about it, I'm going to write it down, but it's asking someone else about, okay, I go to someone that I trust, an authority, someone that I have respect to, and I ask questions of what should I do. Well, this is very understandable, but this is something you shouldn't do. Like, nobody has the answers for you. People can ask you questions, and that's the real guidance. And that's why on the program, on the journey of Discover Your Gift, you'll find a lot of questions. You don't find answers. You find questions that make you realize and reflect things that you wouldn't reflect with questions. There's actually, if you choose to do the program, you find a level 0 that it starts with a lot of questions that you might never have heard, and that really good questions of that make you think differently and make you think, okay, I'm gonna look for the answer. And that's the most important. It's not the question itself, is what behavior drives the question. And it's the question that drives us. Neo. There's a part of the movie of The Matrix where Neo goes meet the rabbit, the white rabbit, right? It's Trinity. It's at the beginning of the movie, and then he goes to the club at night and he doesn't know even why he's there, because there's this tattoo of the white rabbit of the woman, of the guy that took the CDs that he was preparing. And then he finds Trinity, and Trinity tells Neo that it's the question that drives us. And the question of Neo is not who I am, it's what's the matrix, and it's the question that drives us. And I think that's so true. Like, it's not the answer that matters, it's the questions that we ask ourselves. And of course, we'll find a lot of answers through the process of Discover Your Gift. And I really hope for you and look forward to support you. If you decide to do the whole journey with me, that would be amazing, because I can meet you, I can guide you as well. And but it's actually the questions that drives us. It's the questions, because we want to answer them, and that's what drives us to look for answers. And that's the journey that I started back on 2021. That's when the journey started. Right now, of course, I have done a lot of steps inside of the journey, and that's why I created this methodology and program, because I've done it myself. I've guided other individuals, and right now I'm guiding you towards it. But my point on this video is that you have right now the possibility to look inside, and you have you don't have more energy to continue with this. And it's so important that you get into the question of why, and you actually go deep into that question. And of course you can do it alone. Of course you'll find a lot of videos here that will give you questions, will give you understanding, will give you another way of thinking. On my Instagram you can watch me, but of course whenever you're ready, you're very welcome to start your journey through all the levels. And if you just want to start with one of the levels, maybe level 1 is just a great decision. So we're here to support you on discovering your gift. So what you have to find is that makes you unique, because your uniqueness is nobody can compete with your uniqueness. Your uniqueness is your gift to the world. So you have to discover that what's truly yours, and then unfold it, and then show it to the world. And I believe that everyone is waiting for that, and the right people will come to your life after you start showing up what you're here to be, what you're here to do. You start attracting the right partner, the right friendships, the right connections, the right, partnerships, collaborations. Everything will just flow from there. But just deciding to go in the direction of your heart, or as we were telling on this video, the direction of your intuition, that inner voice that is guiding you. And of course, right now, as I said, you're disconnected from that voice. But through the process of discover your gift, we're gonna, dive deep into that voice, so you can tap into it, you can listen to it, you can experiment with it, you can have fun experimenting with it. And of course, we can have the conversations through the program and the guidance together, how you reconnect with that voice. And I can give you more questions and more guidance on where to go, where to find your path, and most especially reconnect with that unique gift that you have, because that's something you don't need to forget, that you have that unique gift that makes you important, makes you unique, and that you shouldn't hide it from the world. Because once you start delivering it, once you start playing it out, that's when things start to unfold. Everything that it's meant for you will come after you unfold it, but before you have to know it. And that's what we uncover on the program Discover Your Gift. So see you inside, and if not, yes, just follow along for more videos, and well, peace.